Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Southeast Region Get EVAL Certified. This is Julie Bond. I'm with Best Workplaces for Commuters, and I'm going to serve as your host today. Our guest speaker is Torrin Spencer with the Electrification Coalition, and I'll introduce him in a moment. The United States includes 6 EVAL regions shown on this map. The Southeast region includes Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Virginia, Louisiana, Maryland, Arkansas, Alabama, and Washington, D.C. It's a really great region. If you happen to be listening in from another state, you are still welcome to be here today and learn about the overall program. We have webinars for each region, and for more information, you can go to bestworkplaces.org. Our goal is for our program to be interactive today. So we're here to address your questions and share information so you can feel confident in a path toward becoming electric vehicle adoption leadership EVAL certified. So in just a moment, we'll jump in, but first here's a look at our agenda. I'll be serving as your host and moderator today. Our EVAL partner speaker is Torrin Spencer from the Electrification Coalition. And then we really encourage you to type your questions in the Q&A box, and you can do that at any point during the presentation. And then we have time at the end that we're going to answer those questions. So think about all those things you would like to know, and Torrin will answer them for you. And we're really glad you can all join us today. Okay, first a little bit about your hosting partner, which is Best Workplaces for Commuters. The partnership between Best Workplaces for Commuters, otherwise known as BWC, which is a national recognition program to support workplaces that have really great commuter benefits program. And then between Forth, it's quite synergistic in supporting EV charging at workplaces, and that aligns well with our program's goals. BWC is the national authority on recognizing and assisting workplaces that provide exceptional commuter benefits to employees. You can see on this slide, there's a breakdown of the types of members we support. It includes employers, universities, and colleges, multi-employer sites, and our program is managed by the Center for Urban Transportation Research at the University of South Florida. And we have support from the Florida Department of Transportation. And I am located here in Tampa, Florida, so part of this region that is here today. Okay, I am going to introduce our guest speaker, and then I'll turn the time over to him. It's really been great working with Torrin. And so Torrin is a senior associate with the Electrification Coalition. He's worked with the City of Orlando and Orlando Utilities Commission since 2020 on increasing customer and fleet adoption of electric vehicles. Then in 2024, Torrin now leads the Southeastern rollout of electric vehicle adoption leadership, EVAL, presented by Forth. Torrin holds a BS in environmental science from the University of Central Florida. So thank you, Torrin. I'm going to turn the time over to you.
Thanks, Julie. Really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for your time and hanging out with us this afternoon. Like Julie said, my name is Torrin Spencer, Senior Associate with the Electrification Coalition. We are a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization in DC, and we work to implement electric vehicles in public and private fleets. We want to facilitate the widespread adoption of those for the public health and national security that comes from moving away from oil dependence. But we have a lot of different programs we're working on, EVAL being one of them. We also have teams in DC, but also all over the states working on policy and campaigns implementation as well. But we are talking about the Electric Vehicle Adoption Leadership Program for the Southeast. This is meant to be a national workplace charging certification program for the entire US. But I'm just working on the Southeast rollout, but happy to talk about that whole program for anybody and everybody who's here, regardless of location. And we have this program because transportation is one of the largest sources of greenhouse gases. Transportation is the only one with a rising emissions in the whole greenhouse gas sector. Obviously, agriculture, commercial residence, industry, and electric power make up a good portion of it, but transportation is well over a quarter and we can move that needle the right direction. We can definitely lower that percentage by encouraging the continued growth of electric vehicles. Most electric vehicles are being used, obviously, to get from home to work, simple errands, but a lot of charging is done at home. But the second place most people do their charging is at work. So that's what we're trying to help implement going forward. Becoming a leader in electric mobility is great for employers and great for employees. It can reduce emissions, adds sustainability, improving hiring, so it can add to employee retention, can also be one of those things new employees start looking for as they maybe change positions. Definitely checking if they have EV charging at their office if they do have to go in. Like I said, charging at work improves retention, and you can help employees save a lot of money as well. We do a lot of total cost of ownership analysis through Electrification Coalition, and we know that over a 5-year span, an electric vehicle may be a little bit more expensive to purchase up front, but it is significantly less expensive over a couple of years to power as opposed to putting gas in the car. And it's also a lot more reliable, needs a lot less regular maintenance. Oil changes are a thing of the past with an EV, so there's a lot of positives in encouraging your workforce to move to EVs, and also maybe encouraging higher ups at those companies to move to EVs as well. But EVs don't need a ton of help right now. There's a lot of good information out in the market. There's a lot of exciting energy around the vehicles, but some, once they purchase those vehicles, not 100% sure where they're going to charge it all the time. Obviously, at home, if you have a garage, that's great. Some live in multi-unit dwellings that may or may not have charging. So it's important to fill those gaps where we can with at-work charging. So you can see here on this map that the charging infrastructure does have huge gaps. There's a couple different regions in the central US that have a fairly good percentage of charging infrastructure as a percentage of what's needed by next year. But mostly everywhere else, in big cities on the East Coast, Northeast, even in California, we still have a long way to go as far as charging goes. And we got to implement that sooner rather than later. Besides home, charging at work is the preferred option. Workplaces are the second most likely location for EV owners to charge. So on the road is the small amount, at work is a larger amount, and at home is the biggest one. But 20% of Americans and even a higher percentage of low and moderate income drivers live in buildings that don't necessarily have access to EVs or to off-street parking to charge an EV. So it's important to help put it in wherever we can. Why install workplace charging? It benefits employees and employers as well. Like I said earlier, it increases access to charging for employees. There's a range of confidence for, it adds range confidence for employees. We've heard it before. Range anxiety is one of the things that may come with an EV, but we know the more you use it, the less you're going to have any issues with range anxiety. We know that a lot of our trips are shorter trips to and from work, to the grocery store, things like that. We're not doing cross-country road trips all the time. So more chargers here and there will add to that range confidence. It'll improve employee retention and recruitment, and it'll align and enhance company values as well. A lot of companies are looking to see how they can add to their green goals moving forward, and EV charging is definitely a good way to go that direction. And workplace charging is good for the environment. It makes a lot of sense for employers, but it also is really good. And it could suggest that shifting current EV charging from home to work and night to day, it could cut costs, could reduce greenhouse gas emissions, improve grid efficiency, and match key charging times with peak solar generation time periods. Taking some pressure off the grid is always a good way to go. A lot of these utilities in the Southeast know that EV charging is already here. Like Julie said earlier, I was working with Orlando Utilities Commission for several years, and they know that EVs are constantly on the up. They're growing. So they're trying to grow the infrastructure with EV rollout. But the best way they can do that is by being able to project energy needs during the day. So if There's a place where we can charge at work during the day instead of having to go home and charge and turn on all of our lights all at the same time, right around 6 o'clock when we're getting home from work, starting to make dinner. Everybody's using electricity at the same time. If we can spread that out and make it easier for the grid, it's all good all the way around. And then back to the program at large, the EVAL program, or Electric Vehicle Adoption Leadership Program. The seal is there, but this program is run by Fourth Mobility out of the Northwest, and Electrification Coalition, along with other partners, are implementation partners for different US regions, EC being the Southeast and the Midwest. What is EVAL? It's a certification program, and it provides technical assistance and recognition to organizations that support the adoption of clean transportation. And the certification also indicates the availability of clean transportation options and opportunities for staff at a workplace. So it is a recognition program, but it is also a resource center. We do partner with other programs to kind of give you a better idea where to start if you haven't leaned towards charging, but also want to give recognition to those workplaces that have already put charging in place as well. EVAL certification distinguishes businesses for the sustainable actions they make. It's kind of on a point scale. So from 15 to get the entry level certification at bronze, all the way up to 100 points for platinum. If you start now and get certified before November and you need to change, we can totally do that, but you can also get your certification in before November at no cost and keep that one indefinitely. But there's a lot of different levels, a lot of different questions to answer, and a lot of different points to be had for different advancements in those different workplaces. But our objectives for EVAL is to execute a national workplace charging program comprised of education, outreach, and technical assistance. And we're trying to enable a large-scale increase in workplace charging. We're there in the middle. We also work with EV Noir and Plug in America in different regions around the US, but a big multi-pronged approach, working with a bunch of different partners on a bunch of different fronts, all trying to get the word out to anywhere and everywhere that might count as a workplace. EVAL eligibility. Employers of all sizes and industries, including state, local, tribal governments, community-based organizations, nonprofits, are eligible to apply. The only things that are not eligible to apply are at-home offices. No, there's still a number of us still working at home. If you do have charging in your garage or in your neighborhood, it can't be EVAL certified, but we appreciate those that are thinking about that. Still encourage your neighbors to put in charging for themselves as well and get the word out, but at-home offices don't count, and also fleet charging depots that exclusively charge those fleet vehicles and aren't able to be used by the public. Those do not apply as well. But if you do have a charging depot or a couple chargers that are used by fleet vehicles by state, local government entities, and they are available to the public, that can apply. So just a couple small instances that don't work. This certification process is really, really straightforward. Just register with some contact information, apply for the certification. That certification has just a couple questions, a couple different sections. If you have all the information in front of you, it really shouldn't take more than 20 minutes to fill out that application. After that application, you can access digital resources, you can connect with Fourth and other community members for additional support, and then you can receive your certification and get recognized. Certification includes a couple of different sections. So these are the things we're kind of asking questions on in order to get those certifications out to those different employers. We'll be asking questions about engaging employees on e-mobility needs, also asking questions about planning and evaluation for your workplace. Asking questions if you have any incentives on the adoption of e-mobility, whether that be EVs, multimodal transportation, e-scooters, things of the like. The big one is EV charging. Want to see if you are expanding access to EV charging stations. You still are eligible for an EVAL certification if you don't have charging put in place. If you're thinking about it, if you're getting all the information up front to try to move that direction, that can still count towards your EVAL points for your certification level. And then the last section is innovation. So we're seeing if your workplace is showcasing sustainability leadership through initiative and regional programs. EVAL certification also comes with technical assistance. There is a lot of different resources available on evalcertification.org, the website there. You have access to webinars, template surveys and forms. You also have a directory of local providers and installers. You also have employee education resources, program implementation guides, and best practices as well. Like we said earlier, this program is about recognition and marketing. So we do have an exclusive roundtable work group. We can do spotlights on the EVAL website for your workplace. Fourth Roadmap Conference is coming up. If you are EVAL certified, there are benefits to get to that Roadmap Conference as well. For Platinum certifications, we can get a workplace spotlight and then a digital badge and signed certificate for your display as well. How much does it cost? EVAL is free. There is no catch. There's nothing like that. It is free to join, free to participate in, as long as you get your certification application in before November 1st. It does not require recertification, so you don't have to do it annually, anything like that. But once we get to November, a fee can be implemented to certify each of those locations. That's why we're trying to get all this information out to participants now to get you guys in for free on the ground floor. Just a quick bit on auditing. Every 100th application will be audited. Fourth staff will reach out requesting supporting documentation, and then after review, your certification will be confirmed if sufficient documentation is provided. Charge at Work is also a partner program like I was telling you guys about on the website. Charge at Work provides tools, resources, and technical assistance to make workplace charging a reality. They connect with federal and local incentive programs. You can use Charge at Work to create a site plan, a unique site plan for your location. It also can identify which technologies work best for organizations in that workplace. It can gauge worker interest in EVs as well. So if you go to EVAL, you can also check out Charge at Work and sign the Charge at Work pledge at that website there. Thank you, Christine. This is a little bit about Southeast incentives. Actually, if you go to national, I forget the website now, but it's for the it's from the Department of Energy, but it's the national resources page. You can get a lot of different information on state and utility incentives. There's a number of them in the Southeast, Florida, Georgia, etc. State of Florida has an electric vehicle charging station financing authorization. State of Georgia also has a charging station tax credit, as well as several utilities in the Southeast. There is a commercial electrification rebate from Jacksonville Electric Authority, and then commercial electric vehicle charging station rebates and incentives from Duke Energy and Florida Power and Light. But there could be more in your region. So take a look online, see if there's anything else that works for you. Also, federal incentives. The National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Discretionary Grant Program is going through different states and implementing larger public charging stations. The 30C tax credit, the Alternative Fuel Vehicle Refueling Property Tax Credit, that can be available to you as well. Several $1,000s per charger put in. May have to read the fine print to make sure the placement you put it at could apply for that credit, but definitely check that out with IRS. And you can also use Electrification Coalition's EV Funding Finder down at that bottom page. Very user-friendly website. You can go through and pick whether or not you represent a city, state, business, school, nonprofit, and then go through and pick what kind of incentives you're looking for, whether it be for EVs or EVSE, meaning EV charging stations, things like that. And the EV funding finder will spit out different options for you to pursue. We also have a number of certified sustainability leaders already. We launched the program close to the end of last year, and just in the first couple months of this year, we have a number of businesses, municipalities, a couple universities as well that are all a part of the EVAL program. It is working for them. We're trying to bring everybody together. So the more that we can get certified, the more of a knowledge base we can have for sharing tips and tricks of putting in EVSC here, there, and everywhere. What's next? Start your eval certification. Super easy. Go to evalcertification.org and then sign this Charge at Work pledge. You can join us on social media as well. You can follow Forth on all those different social media platforms. You can also follow Electrification Coalition on all those different social media platforms as well, and happy to get you more information that way. Appreciate those that have put a couple of questions in the box. If you do have some more, please put them in there in the Q&A. If you have put them in the chat, put them in the Q&A there as well. But happy to answer the couple questions that are in there now. First one.
Thanks, Torrin.
Sure.
Let me just go through a couple things. So
Sure, Julie.
in the chat box, I just want to make everyone aware that you can go to bestworkplaces.org if you have any questions. And then Christine has also put some other websites. If you want to take the pledge, that's at chargeatwork.org. And then Get EVAL Certified is listed there too. So all of those sites are there. And as Torrin said, please type any questions that you have in the Q&A box, and I'll go ahead and moderate some of those that I'm seeing coming in, and then there might be a few in the chat. We'll keep checking back there. So Torrin, I'll go ahead and moderate these for you to make it easier.
Sure.
So the first one we have is someone is asking, and this question has been asked at our recent webinars, who at my workplace should fill out the application? So, who is the best person they should talk to, and who should fill out that application?
That is a great question. It could vary depending on your type of workplace. If it's a municipality, it might be somebody in the sustainability department, your sustainability manager, sustainability project manager. If it's somebody within a privately owned building or a larger business, it might be somebody with facilities management that might have more information on how EVSE could be implemented, what the viability is on that. There are a couple questions about how many parking spaces are at a workplace as well. So that answer may be difficult to know if you're not in facilities, but really there isn't a wrong person to fill this out. There is some information you may need when you fill out that questionnaire, but really anybody in an organization can fill this out as long as they have the correct information. There is also a section about bringing together employees at a workplace to talk about e-mobility. So there could already be a small group at your workplace that could be filled out by that smaller group or somebody in that smaller group. Keep going around the circle, but anybody can fill it out.
That's great. And Alexandra also added that most of the certified employers, if you recall back on the slide, a sustainability lead, coordinator, or manager has been submitting the application. So again, of course, everything's different. You have universities and, private businesses and cities, but anyone's welcome to submit it who has a passion for it and is approved to submit that. So thank you very much for that answer. Okay, let's move on to the next question. So somebody's asking, do we need to already have EV charging in place to apply for eval? That's a really great question.
Yes, great question. Short answer, no. You don't have to have EV charging already put in place. That is a pro if you do apply. It's pretty easy to fill out that application and say how many charges you have for how many parking spaces you have. But this program is about trying to expand EV charging. We're trying to get a number of interactions with the certification, trying to get a number of workplaces certified, but we're also trying to implement a large number of new EVSE ports installed because of this program. So if you haven't put it in already, please apply anyways. You can still get your bronze or silver certification even without chargers. And then you can even up your certification once those chargers are put in and get an even stronger gold or platinum certification afterwards. So please take a look at EVAL certification, regardless if you have charging implemented or not.
That's really great to know. And I believe, Torrin, that you mentioned if they want to download the application to have on hand and go through it before they actually start the process, that's available, right? They can just download that application and look at a PDF form, for example.
Yes, we do have a PDF list of the questions ahead of time. So if you'd like to review that before you fill out your application, let us know and we can get you that info. The questionnaire is really straightforward. So you can fill that out beforehand, but it's always a benefit to have the information in front of you before you do it. Just make it a little bit quicker.
Okay. And here's one, just I think, I'm not sure if it has been answered in the chat, so I just want to ask this one again. Somebody just said to please confirm again, if their building already has charging stations managed by the property, but not the company directly, can they still apply, and how does that count?
I would not believe you wouldn't be able to apply. I would still encourage you to apply if you have charging in your lot. That's great that it's already been implemented by the property manager. If you guys can take advantage of it at your workplace, then that should certainly put you guys up a couple more points on the certification ladder. So yes, please apply if you have charging stations managed by your property manager.
Great. And that was also confirmed in the chat. So we definitely welcome you to apply. Okay, another question. Is the certification by physical site or by employer or both? Can you explain that process?
Yes. So this certification is by a physical site. It's not by employer umbrellas. However, if you are in contact with somebody at your employer umbrella that could speak for workplaces at large, say you work for a larger company that has multiple buildings in different cities or different parts of a city, and they have different mailing addresses, we can certainly fill out one or a couple questionnaires for each of those different sites and get them all certified expeditiously.
Okay, great. There's another question, it looks like, in the chat that is interesting. And so someone is asking if they wish to reduce vehicles on the road, would this work to allow for more e-bike and e-scooter chargers instead? So how does that affect eval if they are, looking at ways to reduce cars and then they have the e-bike and e-scooter chargers?
Yeah, that's totally a part of the questionnaire. Trying to get chargers for those things as well, but trying to incentivize other e-mobility options. That is a big part of the EVAL program. So if you guys are doing that, if you are trying to reduce vehicles on the road and trying to encourage e-bike and e-scooter adoption at your workplace, please let us know in your questionnaire for your EVAL certification. That will definitely add some points to your stats there.
Great. And Alexander says that eval has section 3 that focuses all about micromobility. I believe when I saw some of the write-ups on some of these great companies who are certifying, that it was also included some of those micromobility options. So I think that's really an important part of this.
Certainly.
Okay. Another question we have is, after someone certifies, can they upgrade their status at any time? So if they certify and are bronze, can they reapply and move up? And is that at any time, or how does that work?
Yes, you can apply and upgrade at any time. If you apply and upgrade before November, it should not cost you anything. If you apply and then want to upgrade later on in the year or in 2025, there may be a fee assessed to that. We don't have a number to it yet, But that's why we encourage all workplaces that are interested in the eval certification to do so now. And then if there are any changes, we can help you implement those sooner rather than later.
Okay. Again, if you have any further questions, please type them in. We have a couple more. So if you want to get any questions in during this session, please go ahead and type them in. So Torrin, are you compiling any case studies of employer provided incentives? I know incentives are part of the application process, and are there examples of those incentives? So if someone is looking at how they can, kind of beef up their application, are there any examples they can look at?
There aren't any examples just yet, but we are working with a lot of our applicants, seeing what works best for them, trying to compile some information, and then put that together for a document we can disperse. So that is information to come, but not available just yet.
Okay. And then also it looks like Fourth is building a database of incentives that will be on their website soon. So that was a good question because it looks like that is already in the process. So people can look at those examples of websites. Okay, the last question I have is about the Charge at Work pledge. So once you take the Charge at Work pledge, what happens?
So that is, it's non-committal, but we do want to get an idea of who's moving forward, who's pledging for EVSE being implemented. That will be in addition to the eval certification, but that can also work for you if you're going into the Charge at Work program as well. So it's just giving us an idea of who is thinking about putting charging in place, how many, and kind of moving the needle that way. So just giving us a number idea.
Great. Okay. And so that website was provided also. Let's see. Let me just check and see if we have any more questions. Alexandra says get that extra recognition for your organization. So that's part of that, taking that pledge. So that looks like that is all the questions we have for today. Christine has put a short evaluation in the chat. You'll also be sent that afterwards. And if you would like Torrin to contact you or someone else at your company or your university or business, you can put that into the survey and we will contact you and answer any further questions that you may have. And Torrin, I'll let you close out the session. And again, we thank everyone for attending.
Yeah, thank you, Julie. Thank you, everybody, for coming. If you guys do have any questions, please let me know at tspencer@electrificationcoalition.org. It's a little long, so if it's easier for you, it's torrin@electrification.org as well. Happy to answer any questions. Happy to walk through the survey with you if you're thinking about filling it out. Happy to answer any questions, and also happy to get this information to any other workplaces that you may be connected with. If you think there's another site that should know about this, please let them know, and they can forward any questions to us as well. But thank you all again for coming. Thank you for being so interested in this program. We're trying to make it the best we can, and looking forward to adding your workplace to it soon.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and we look forward to working with you. And thank you, Christine Epps, for supporting us and putting this all together.
Yes, thank you, Julie. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Alexandra, in the chat, and thank you, everyone else, for coming.